Some More Outdoor, Episode 19.
Welcome to Some More Outdoor, where we speak with authors, entrepreneurs, and business owners about how the outdoors has affected their life and their projects. This show is to remind you of the healing properties of the outdoors. So, are you ready to learn what the nature effect can do for your life? Well, here's your host, Brett Trout.
Hello, S'more Country, and welcome to another episode of S'more Outdoor. I'm your host and personal outdoor advocate, Brett Trout, and this is a podcast dedicated to reminding you to get out and experience the nature effect. My goal is to help you reestablish your connection with nature so that you can start living with childlike wonder again. Well, I'm so excited just to be here today for another Topic Friday, and I'm just really looking forward to today's episode. And what really inspired today's episode was one of the questions that I ask the people that come on the show that I interview is an inspiration for their idea when they get outdoors, because I believe that the outdoors can provide you with so much inspiration and so much clarity and focus on your ideas. And I believe that the outdoors is a great place to generate new ideas. So that's why today's topic episode is titled, Why You Struggle with Good Ideas and What to Do About It. You know, it's been said that each of us has an idea a year that could potentially make us millions. And there's ideas that we get so excited about, but then after a few weeks or maybe even a few days, that initial excitement really kind of goes away. And we begin to believe that the idea just isn't going to work or that it's dumb. Maybe we just get discouraged and think that, no one else is going to like the idea or even care what we have to say. Or maybe you have an idea like I've had and you want to run with it, but then you do some research and you just find that other people have already been talking about it. And it leads to some type of discouragement and a belief that you can't compete with them or that there's nothing new to say that you can actually contribute. We all have dreams. And I know that you dream about the possibilities of making your life better. I do. And you just wish that someday, somehow, you can come up with the right idea, but it just doesn't seem to happen. You can't figure out what idea is going to work for you, and eventually you just become discouraged and stop believing. Some of you may even stop believing that you'll ever be successful. And you'll wonder if you'll ever have an idea that people will actually like. There's people online all the time, and they all have, or most, have ideas that they pursue, and it changes people's lives. It could be any number of things. It could be a blog post that goes viral. It could be a new product that people just love and need, and they really didn't even know that they need it until someone created it. It could be just a new way of thinking or solving a problem that no one's ever thought of before. Like I said, it could just be any number of things that just connect with someone else and really helps them. But you think not you, and you just get discouraged and you struggle coming up with an idea that could potentially set you free from your current situation. So why do you struggle with good ideas? Well, I believe it's because of the world that we live in. There's so many demands on our time. There's so much around us that distracts us. There's all this noise in the world, physical, but also visual noise as well. The commitments that you've made, the stress that's in your life, everything just overwhelms you, and you've actually forgotten how creative and smart you really are. And you begin to wonder if you'll ever have a great idea. But don't give up on yourself yet. I know that you do have an idea, and it's just ready to come alive and change the world. And it's only going to take one idea to spark a change in your life and the lives of those around you. And this one idea can have the hugest impact in your life. So what's the key to unlocking this idea? You just need to break away from the distractions in your life. You need to step outside and experience the silence that your creative mind needs in order to start generating ideas. Or actually just to get clear on one of the many ideas that you already have. Because sometimes it just takes a little, what I call natural inspiration for an idea to come alive and grow. And the outdoors is an amazing place for it. It's a place where you can just get out there and be yourself and not really have to worry about all the things that are going on in your life that are keeping you from becoming the person that you want to be. I don't really go outside to exercise a whole lot. It's just a byproduct of me being out there. I mainly go outside because I enjoy the wonder and the awe that I experience out there. It's also a place that I can go just to relax and unplug for a while. And when I say relax, I don't mean just sitting around and doing nothing, but actually relaxing in my mind and allowing myself to get still so I can hear those thoughts that have been dormant for a while, just because of the noise that's in my world. And like you, I have a creative mind. But along with this creative mind comes sometimes the burden of having too many ideas. And it's come to the point where I used to get frustrated with myself, and I was just trying to figure out what I was passionate about. It was difficult because I was passionate about so many different things. I still am. In the past, it's so funny because I've bought so many domain names, and I still have a ton of ideas. I don't buy as many domain names anymore, but I would buy the domain names and let them go. So now when I do have those ideas, I just write them down in what's called an incubation list, an idea incubation list. And it's a technique that I learned from one of my mentors and a former guest on the show, Jonathan Milligan. So basically what the idea incubation list is, it's a list of all my ideas where I can just sit down, or where I can just actually put them in there for a little while. And then eventually I'll come back to the idea later on and start deleting the ideas that just don't fit anymore. But in the past, when I had an idea, I would get so excited about it. I would tell my wife, and I spent countless hours and countless nights losing sleep because I was dreaming about the possibility of an idea that I had. But eventually what would happen is that I would get bored with it, or I would end up talking myself out of it, and I would start thinking that it's not going to work and just move on. It was so discouraging. And eventually, as time passed, I was still in the same place where I had begun. I didn't have a good idea, and I was back to that feeling that I wasn't going to make any money with one of my ideas. And eventually, that's what we want to do. We want to come up with an idea that we can make money, right? But eventually, I just got so fed up with it and decided that I just needed to pick one, and I had to figure out which one to pursue. So what did I do? Well, at the time, I was, to give you a little history about myself, I had just finished Dave Ramsey's Financial Peace University, and I had been teaching that at the church that I went to, or I was co-facilitating it with one of the pastors. And I had read Dan Miller's book, 48 Days to the Work You Love, and I was really inspired by both of those concepts and wanted to become a financial and career coach. But at the time, some of the questions that I was getting from mentors was like, do people come to you and ask you for advice or about these things? And I'm like, well, no, I'm a manager for a company, and I know a lot about the company and what I was doing at the time, but people still wouldn't come to me and ask me for things. I don't know if I was just unapproachable or what, but I realized at the time that maybe financial and career coaching isn't something that I'm here to do. And so it was a really struggle for me at that time. And so what did I do? I stopped focusing on how I was going to make money with an idea, obviously, even though that's important. And I started to really focus on what was going to make me happy. And I remembered this time in my life when I was inspired and when I was having fun. It was being out in nature and just being free. So I decided to take my wife, and we went to the mountains up in Sequoia National Park for a few days. We wanted to go camping and just really enjoy time together and just getting out of the house and getting away from work and just really having some good intimate conversations and just having fun together. But I was also there, other than connecting with her, to really answer one question. And the question that I wanted to ask, or that I wanted to answer, was this: what experiences in my life have prepared me for what I would most enjoy doing? So I had my little notebook and a pencil, and I sat underneath these giant sequoia trees, really just watching the world around me and listening to the wind in the trees, listening to the birds sing, and just waiting for something to come to mind. I was reflecting on where I had come from, where I'd grown up. I was thinking about a business too. I wanted to figure out a business that my wife and I could build together with something that she loved to do, which she's a massage therapist, and she loves healing people, and was something that I love to do. And it was then that I had remembered, after I was thinking that, I remembered how my life had really shaped who I'd become, and how growing up in the outdoors had a huge impact on who I was, how I really felt when I was outside, and how much I enjoyed spending time with my family and friends when we would go camping, or when we would go on these water skiing / camping trips, or just going to the mountains with my friends and going on hiking trips. And it was from those memories and my wife and mine, our experience together in Sequoia, that the original idea for S'more Outdoor was born. And so since then, my wife and I have taken people on camping trips to Sequoia and Yosemite National Parks to really help people come alive and relax. And through, just being out in nature and her doing a massage on them. And it's been an amazing journey. But from that idea and spending more time outdoors, I've really, over the years, have discovered my message. And that's why now now that I've got this message, I want to be able to share it with everyone. Because it's been a struggle. I knew I had a blog about my business and what it was I was trying to communicate, but I really didn't know still at the time what I was trying to communicate. And it's only come just recently that I've understand the connection with nature and how it's had an impact in my life and how it can have an impact in yours as well. So yes, I found my idea outdoors, and it really is about the benefits of being outdoors, experiencing the nature effect, reconnecting with nature, rediscovering yourself really, and living with that childlike wonder again, living with that childhood passion that we used to have long ago. And there's another idea, too, that I want to share with you, because this also came from my life growing up in the outdoors. And it was really how I found the brand for my soap. So I've been making soap, and I haven't shared this before, at least I don't think I have. I've been making soap for almost 20 years now, and I've always wanted to sell my soap to more people. I used to go to these Renaissance fairs and other events, farmers markets and things like that, to sell my soap. But I couldn't come up with a good name and where I really wanted to sell it, which was online. But after starting S'more Outdoor, the camping portion of it, we weren't obviously taking people camping during the winter. And so I would always make soap for my family and friends, and they loved it. And I knew that more people would love it. It was just trying to figure out how I wanted to brand myself. And so I had this entrepreneurial bug during the time after creating S'more Outdoor, and I wanted to start selling my soap online. But I knew I just needed to focus on niching down, because everyone talks about you need to niche down your ideas, you need to figure out who you're going to be selling it to. So I thought about how the different people that use my soap, and I used to make soap that was plain. When I say plain, it was basically without ground up oatmeal in it, and bars with ground up oatmeal in it. And what I found out was the guys that used to use my soap, they really liked the scratchiness, I guess the abrasiveness of the ground up oatmeal in the soap. So I knew that I wanted to focus on soap for men, but I was still struggling with the brand. I was coming up with all these different names. I never bought any. Well, actually, I take that back. I bought a few. I used to call it Fern Canyon Soaps because that was the original picture when I first started making soap. I went to school at Humboldt State, and I had taken a picture of this Fern Canyon, amazing place, such a beautiful place. And I never knew there was a place like this in the United States. And so I decided, well, I'm going to call it Fern Canyon Soap. But then one day, I was really trying to figure out, more about how I can put me in the soap, because Fern Canyon Soap just wasn't going to be a good name for men, and branding it that way anyways. And I wanted to figure out how I could put me in the soap, who I was, into my soap. And it was that day, and I actually wasn't outside or outdoors when I thought of this, but it was that day that I realized that I was someone who loved hiking in the mountains. I love being in the mountains. I love being surrounded by the trees in forests. I love, in Ojai, there's not a whole lot of giant trees, so we would go up there and you could see so far on the chaparral. And I realized that I was this mountain man. And so that was the day that I checked real quick online on GoDaddy, and I was like, Mountain Men Soap. Type that in, and sure enough, it was available. And so that was the day that Mountain Man Soap was born. So if you didn't know that, go check that site out because it's fun. I love the brand over there, and I've gotten a lot of great feedback on it, and I get so excited about people buying that. So I didn't mean to plug that in there, but it just happens. So yes, again, it's another idea that was based on who I was. It's based on the outdoors, but you know what? That's me, right? And so I want to help you understand that getting outdoors, even though these ideas came from the outdoors, that the outdoors can have a huge impact. And because you live in this digital world, as great as technology is, it's going to continue to advance and create more noise in our life. And it's more important than ever for you to learn how nature can have an impact in your life, and to just break away every once in a while and spend some time outside. And what I have realized is from my time spending time outdoors, getting out in nature, there's 7 immediate benefits that I receive and that I know that you will receive too. And I won't dive into them too much on this episode, but I just kind of want to list them out so you can get an idea of what they are. But first, when you get out there, it's going to be silent. So you're going to enjoy being in that area of silence. And when you start to quiet yourself down, when you start to quiet your mind, and you're in an area where there's less noise, it has a huge impact. And we've obviously talked about it in previous shows, but it's going to help you with your stress reduction. Once you start reducing your stress, your body's going to become more relaxed. Your mind's going to become more relaxed, going to become more at ease. You're going to start quieting down. And when you start getting quiet, when everything starts just flowing away, you start to become more aware of the world around you. So your awareness increases. And as soon as your awareness starts to increase and you really start to live with that wonder again, you start thinking about the beauty that's around you and the amazing place that you live in. It starts to inspire you inside somehow. I don't know what it does, but it just starts to bring this inspiration from you. And you start thinking, at least for me, and I'm pretty sure it will for you too, it starts inspiring you with different ideas that you used to have that were dormant. And it can also bring more clarity to some of the ideas that you already have and help you stay more focused. So those are the 7. It's also going to remind you of those childhood dreams that you used to have. Things that you forgot that you were passionate about will come back to you. I can guarantee that. But most importantly, it's also the place that you need to be without the noise that you experience every day. They say that silence is golden, and it's during those times when you're experiencing that silence that you can be still and that you will cultivate great ideas. And when I talk about being still, it reminds me of a story. And I think it's Thomas Edison, but I'm not really sure if it's him or not. I didn't do research on it beforehand. I just wanted to share the story. But what he did was he used to sit in a chair with some, I guess it was like some little ball bearings in his hand, and he would put a metal plate on the floor. And so he would sit there, and as soon as he would start to fall asleep and he would release his hands and release the bearing, it would drop and hit the metal plate, and he would immediately wake up, and there would be ideas that he was like, so during that time that he was getting ready to sleep before he went to sleep, there was ideas that were starting to generate in his head, and he wanted to wake himself up so he could capture those ideas. So the basis of that story is basically, it's those times when we're still and when we're quiet that we can cultivate these great ideas. So I know that you do have ideas. And yes, maybe it's a struggle just to pick one and run with it, but you have to start somewhere. And I believe that the best place to plant the seed for an idea is to head to the mountains or somewhere out in the wilderness just to be still, to experience that silence. And you have to just be yourself for a while and allow your mind to be free and think about all those amazing things that you've already accomplished. You know, you've thought about all these ideas that you got discouraged with and that you can't be successful, that you're going to continue to fail with. But think about all those things that you've already accomplished in your life as well, and rediscover those things that you really enjoy doing. So think about those things that you used to love doing where when you were doing them, time was nothing. It just passed by so quickly you didn't realize that it was already late in the day. So ideas are really born from those times of silence and connecting with the desires of your heart. They're born from these dreams that you have for your life. And I believe that your life should be filled with what you love to do so that you can start to have an impact in the lives of others. After spending time outdoors, when you get back and when you're done spending time out there, you'll be amazed at some of the ideas that you have, or at least the clarity that it can bring with an idea that you already have. So go back and continue to listen to the shows, the interview shows, and listen to the ideas of the people that I had on the show. Listen to their inspiration for ideas that they have in their business and in their life. And for you, just pursue one of those ideas and believe in the possibility of it. Just start and don't give up so that you can change the world and the world of those around you. So that's it for today's episode of Some More Outdoor. I'm just so excited to be here to share my passion for the outdoors and how the outdoors can have an impact in your life and really just inspire you to get outdoors more. The intro of my podcast going forward, they're going to be a little bit different. If you notice, like this today, I referred to you guys as S'more Country, so that's the name that I came up. Hope you guys like it. But S'more Country going forward, and next week on the interview shows, I introduce a unique way. I just had fun with it, so I introduce my guests in a unique way, or introduce the show in a unique way. And also, speaking of my intros, a gentleman had emailed me last week, a gentleman by TJ, and he had asked about the music for my intro song and asked where he could get it. He just found that he was humming that tune in his head. So today and Friday episodes going forward, I actually found the song. I'm going to be playing the full 2 minutes of the song at the end of each show on Friday, just because it's so inspiring and I love it and it just sounds so cool. So you can also head on over to smoreoutdoor.com to see a recap of today's show and the show notes. It's not in depth as I would normally do for a Friday topic episode, but it's this topic today was from a post that I had written about a year ago. And if you enjoy this show and want to stay updated with new episodes, I would so much appreciate it if you would subscribe to the podcast and leave a rating and review. This helps to get the show noticed so that others like you and I can learn about how the nature effect can have an impact in their lives and become inspired by the stories and the topics that I share with you. And make sure that when you're over there, sign up for the S'more Outdoor newsletter, and you can also find ways that you can connect with me other than on the website. And I hope that today's show about getting inspiration for an idea and reconnecting with nature really has an impact on you. So thank you for tuning into the show that's changing lives around the world. Until next time, I challenge you to do something this week to get s'more outdoor.